Hello, everyone. So good afternoon. I would like to say welcome for tuning in and thank you for joining our webinar for today. Today is actually our sixth Save My Sanity webinar series. So my name is Chantel and I'm from People Hive. So some of you may be wondering that, People Hive, well, what are you guys doing and things like that. Now, just let me share with you a little bit very shortly on what People Hive do if this is your first time here. What we do is we do customized development programs for leadership and culture. That's the interventions. And the other part is this part, the culture. Okay, yeah, I can see it's there. It's a culture and learning app and HR automation. That's a digital side. So what you just need to know that we have apps to empower your people to develop, to have business growth. So that's what the software and app actually does. So that's just a little bit on our company. So I'm not going to take much time. And some of you may actually ask, why this Save My Sanity? Why are we doing this Save My Sanity webinar? What is it all about? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a really short video for you to see on our history and kind of flashback on how and why we actually came up with this Save My Sanity. So hang on, I'll be playing for you the video soon. Yeah, so that's just a little bit flashback on how we came out with the Save My Sanity. Started off from a Working Mothers Initiative, but we found out that this is actually very appropriate for everyone right now, especially in the pandemic, wherever in the world that you are. So I'm going to introduce our speaker, okay? Her name is Joyce Hugh. She's got a mouthful of all her titles. She's a registered counseling psychologist. She's a clinical hypnotherapist, and she's also a mind therapist. She's been on TV and radio, such as NTV7, Astro Awani. She's been on BFM, and yesterday she was on Bernama News, right? So here I'm going to bring on Joyce here. Hello, Joyce.
Hi, thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for having this talk, to support this initiative and to support everybody else in this pandemic. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So before I pass it to you, right, Joyce, I'm going to tell our viewers on how you can actually ask questions. So I think that we're going to have Joyce, you're going to talk first, and then we'll answer the questions at the end, right, of your talk. Yeah. So that'll be better for everyone as well. And then what's going to happen is that the two ways to ask questions. So whether you're on Facebook or you're on the YouTube, you can type in your comments there. So I'll be the one compiling it. Or you can do it anonymously via the Slido. So what I will do, I will share the link with you just in a short while in the comment box so you can ask and type questions anytime that you want. Don't worry, we will answer to your questions at the end. And what we will try to do is we'll try to answer your questions as much as possible, right? Just a little favor for those of you who are using the Slido, anonymous polling. If you see there is questions which is the same as your questions, please do put in a thumbs up so that we know if we are lack of time, we will try to answer those questions which are more popular. All right. Okay, so I'm going to pass on the floor to Joyce. All right, so take care. And not really take care, just have fun.
True, thank you. So good. It's really taking care. I think during this whole FMCO period, everyone needs to take care, not only physically, but of course, I think what's more important is mentally as well. So the cases are high, worries are there, juggling work-life balance. I know that's not an easy task, not only for moms, for dads, not only for parents, but also sometimes when it comes to children having to take care of their older parents as well. So I think what I'm about to share will be able to be applied to everyone. Okay, so I'm actually focused on the subconscious mind, and I think that a lot of our lives is actually based on our mind, how we control our mind. So that's the most important thing when it comes to you wanting to move forward, you managing your own emotions, or you maybe just being stuck where you are, your mindset. So later, I'll be talking about how to change a negative mindset to a positive one, how to sort of do a bit of self talk. I think that will be a very good tool for you to maintain your own sanity right now. Okay, so before we begin, I'd like to teach you very basically about the mind. I want to understand the mind. It's easier for you to grasp the concept. Okay, so maybe I'll show you my iceberg. And that's a very unique iceberg. So if you can see at the corner of the screen, this is my iceberg theory. Sorry, not my iceberg theory, but that's what I normally use. So you see on the surface of the water, that is the conscious mind. That is things that we are aware of. So right now you are using that conscious to tune into this talk. That is the one that analyzes, that thinks, that knows that, okay, we are in this pandemic. This is what I need to do. Because if you ask everyone, they know the right things to say and right things to do. Like they know I should keep calm. I am safe. I can manage my time. But easier said than done, right? Because the thing that controls us much more is the subconscious. So if you look at physics, you know that under the surface of the water, the bigger chunk of ice, that is our subconscious, and it's all buried inside. So our subconscious holds feelings, holds emotions, holds thoughts, memories, and maybe even our beliefs, right? So perhaps we have a belief that we are trapped. And that emotion is actually stuck in your subconscious. So no matter how strong you are consciously to rationalize that I'm okay, that feeling of being trapped, which is in your subconscious, is the one that's going to trigger. So no matter how strong you are, subconscious mind always wins. That's why when it comes to therapy work or psychology work, I think the best approach is to deal with our subconscious. And the best way to deal with our subconscious actually is about your own words. Words are actually quite strong. It's about changing your mindset, right? So I'm sure many of you have heard this example. So that's my cup. You can't see my cup. Yeah, that's my cup. So what do you think? Is it half full or half empty? So this is a good test of your mindset as well. If your mindset is more towards the positive, you of course think it's half full. If it's negative, you can always say it's half empty and I don't have enough, right? So later on today, I'm going to share with you more towards how to adapt to be a much more positive you. Okay, so I focus more on hypnosis, and the word may sound a bit scary to some, but actually, if you think of it, it's just an altered state of consciousness. So if you look at the definition there, it's just an altered state of awareness. That means we are still aware, we still know what's happening. So don't believe what you see on Hollywood where you're knocked out and you can do anything that you want, but actually it's more about managing your mindset and using words. So it's actually going to be a very deep state of relaxation where I bypass your conscious and speak to your subconscious. But it's not as scary as what some media paint it to be. It's just that because you want to bypass the conscious part, which gets a little bit stubborn at times, right? It's like me saying that you are good, but your conscience is saying, no, you're not good because your boss just scolded you. So you're going to bypass that and start to focus on your subconscious belief. And once you change that original emotion inside, things will be much better. Okay, so using hypnosis or just in general, using this imagery work, this direct imagery work, it's about increased suggestibility because I'm going to say things that you want to hear. And when you want it, you will definitely accept it and believe it, right? And it's also about the power of words because for hypnosis, I don't need any machines, no medicine, nothing. Just me talking to you and probably finding out what you want and changing it. So I think the first thing that you need to do right now, probably if you could get out a piece of paper or maybe some pad somewhere and write down what do you want. Okay, so probably I'm gonna say that um I want a bungalow. Okay, so write down your wants because later we are going to learn how to change that. Um, the second thing I'd like you to write down, I'll give you a minute, right, to get your paper and maybe a pen. So, second thing I want you to write down is one negative thought that you may have. So, I'm going to write down that I am trapped, right? I'm trapped with this FMCO. Okay, so once again, let me just repeat the question. Number one, write down what you want. And number two, write down one negative thought that you have at this point in time. I am trapped. Okay, so right now, as you are writing, let me just go on to the next slide first. And I'm going to talk about how our mindset traps us and how it makes us feel negative. I think it's back to our subconscious mind just now that unfortunately, I think most of us here following this show, we are all Asians, and that is probably the way that we are brought up as well. People will always joke and tease and say that we are not good enough, or they will always say that I'm sure you can be better, right? That I think that's kind of a negative um, reinforcement that most Asians have. So it's already ingrained in us since a young child. And imagine this: if I am 5 and I'm in kindergarten, right? And my kindergarten teacher unknowingly just says it to me, you're not as good as your neighbor. Your neighbor got all eight, right? So as a little child who doesn't know how to think, I would definitely feel crushed and I'm not good enough. So if you look at that slide, it says that I must be perfect like her. I must not make a mistake, those kind of things. And it's stuck in my subconscious mind because whatever happens to us as a child doesn't change. Right. So even though right now, let's say I am the CEO of Facebook, and that's what my teacher said to me, and that's what's conditioned in my mind. So right now, I might be one of the best in the world. I might be earning so much. I am good enough, but still our subconscious always wins. So that little voice inside me is still gonna keep on saying that I'm not good enough. So that's where if I am good, I will use that as a motivation to be better. But most of the time, that is going to push me to drive myself crazy, to be a workaholic, to become someone that's probably a little bit more kiasu, for example, fear of losing and all, right? So it's actually our subconscious mind. So what we want to do is change that belief, recognize that today I am good enough. So as a child, maybe I wasn't that good, but today I am in control. And the best way to do it is through self-talk, is by looking at things in much positive light, right? What we want to do is change to be much more positive, right? So there are many ways in which we can be positive. I'm sure if you do a quick Google search, they'll tell you things like write a gratitude journal, start looking out in the sunshine because that gives you much more positive energy, hang around with positive friends. But I think positive thinking comes from you, comes from your mindset. That's the most important thing. So one good example I would like to share is that in our current situation, there is just so much negative things around us, and we are bombarded with bad news. We are bombarded with restrictions everywhere, difficulties or companies closing down and all. So everything's negative. But if you want to be positive, try and choose out all those good things that's happening and focus on it. So that's one little homework that you can do for yourself. Once you start looking at things in a positive light, the whole world changes, right? So be a little bit more optimistic. For example, like I will say one of my statements, that I am trapped. That's a very negative thing. If I look at FMCO, that's trapping me down. But right now, I want to be more optimistic. I want to be more hopeful, maybe. I may be lying to myself, but I think that as long as I believe in myself, I think I can do it. So I'm going to say something like towards the much more positive. I'm indoors, I'm safe indoors, right? So that's a positive way of looking that I'm trapped. So whatever negative you have, there will be a way to counter it and to look at things from a positive point of view, right? So even if you see one side of the coin, there's always the other side of the coin. So right now, what we need to do is train our mind to actually look towards the positive side of things. So I'm going to share with you 2 tips on how to change to be much more positive. The first one is words, second one is to reframe, right? So words are actually very powerful. If we think about it, it's something we take for granted. So now I am just using English, but it applies to any language, right? So let's say I were to say that I am disappointed, right? The word disappointed already convinces my mind that things are not going well. And then I'm going to expect things are not going to go well. And from there, I'm going to be very negative and thus depress myself. So all this whole spiral is actually just brought about by me thinking of that first word, disappointed. But what if I change that word disappointment to the word challenge? It's so challenging right now, right? So I'm going to react to the word challenge and think that it's about me trying to go harder because I believe in myself. It's about me trying out something new. It's about me proving myself. Then I get that motivation and the energy to be better. So just by tweaking the word a little bit, I think that changes quite a lot, right? So look back at your sentence. When I say I want a bungalow, right? I'm already painting a picture in my head because I want it. That means I'm going to work for it. When I say bungalow in my head, I'm already painting a picture of my bungalow with my swimming pool and things like that. So once I can see it, the words actually paint the image and it's much easier for me to achieve it, right? So do change your wordings. I know it's going to be tough for you to change your own wordings, but maybe you could talk to your friends, your family to help you tweak a few words, right? Instead of saying things like, I'm so scared, change the word scared to, I'm unsure what's going to happen, right? So it's the same meaning, but it's just a different level of intensity. And once you are better with the word unsure, then you can change it to be a bit more positive. To, I'm just curious what's gonna happen, right? So when you say I'm curious versus I'm afraid, I'm scared, can you see a difference in it? So try to play around with words. Words does affect us quite a lot. So positive words make us more energetic. Negative words actually pull us down. So let me show you a video so you could understand this much more. It's a video that I made a few months ago to actually highlight what the power of words and how self-talk actually changes your whole physique as well, right? So let's watch a movie for a bit. Hello everyone, today I'm going to share with you a little bit about the power of the mind, and I want to do a little experiment with passers-by because I want to prove to you that language actually affects our mind. Let's go and try it out. Hello, can I do a little experiment with you?
Sure.
Okay, I want to show you power of the mind, and can you tell me something that you really like?
I really like cats.
Okay, which is your non-dominant hand?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just push it down, you resist.
Okay.
Okay, so that's your strength.
Okay.
Now when you say I really love cats,
I really love cats.
okay, that's your strength. Now when you say I don't like cats, I think they're ugly.
I don't like cats. I think they're ugly.
Cool. Do you see a difference there?
Yes, yeah.
What do you think happened?
When I said a statement that I don't believe in, I didn't have the strength for some reason.
Cool. So that's how the mind actually affects our body, and language is important.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Now just put your hands up, your non-dominant hand. Okay? And I'm going to try to push you down, you resist. Okay, so that's your strength. Now I want you to say, I love running, I love marathons.
I love running. I love marathon.
Okay, resist. Okay, that's your strength. Now when you say, I don't like running, I'm a very lazy person.
I don't like running. I'm a very lazy person.
Okay, do you see a difference?
Yes.
When you say positive words, it's stronger. When it's negative, you can resist so much. So there you see, that is the power of the mind. Sometimes words actually affects our body, and it affects the way we react to situations. So if you are positive, you become stronger and much more energetic. But if you start to say negative words or negative beliefs, your whole mood changes, your body weakens. So dear friends, remain positive at all times. So please do tune in to our Facebook and our YouTube channel for even more psychology tips. Okay, thank you. So I think that video summarizes quite a lot about the power of words, and the power of what we say to ourselves actually changes how strong or how alert we are. So one thing I would recognize in a lot of people nowadays, especially working moms, because they have to juggle childcare, they have to juggle work as well. So a lot of them will go into the mode of saying that I'm just so tired. So just by saying the word tired, my mind registers that word, and all my muscles just start to feel heavy. So change that word, change the meaning of it to be a bit more positive by saying something like, I'm going to get my work done and I'm going to sleep early tonight. So it means the same. I need to sleep early because I'm tired. But by changing your words that way to say that I'm going to stop my work right now and I'm going to sleep early, that gives you hope, that gives you a bit more energy that, okay, I need to quickly do it so that I can sleep tonight. So with that boost of energy that you are giving yourself, it just changes things much more, right? Another example that you could use is that I'm just so stressed with my kids. So when you say that, it gives you anger and, oh my God, why do I have to clean up after you guys? That kind of thing, right? So change your word to say, yes, I'm working from home, but kids are kids. They're always naughty. They are trapped in this small house, just like me as well, and they just need to vent. So I'm okay with that mess. I'm okay with them screaming. So by you changing your mindset that way, I think things will be a bit more positive, right? So do a little bit of homework. If you do need a little bit of help to maybe reframe, you could drop a few examples in the chat box, and maybe later we will talk about it. So right now, another new word that I want to show you is about reframing. So just like the word frame, just imagine that you have a photo frame right in front of you. I brought mine. So that's my photo frame. And right now my frame is brown and it's a bit dull. So it's a very negative photo frame. So what I want to do is I still want that picture, but I'm just going to change this frame. So when I change it to, let's say, yellow frame, then it's going to make my picture so much more lively, right? So same with our mindset, what we want to do is to reframe our mindset to be a much more positive one. So like I was talking just now, our surroundings are full of negatives. So right now what we want to do is change that negative to be a much more positive one. Let me give you examples. I think it's easier for us to reinforce that right now. For example, if I know a lot of people are complaining that economy is so bad right now, I'm just worried about my job security. So that is a very negative frame of thought. So what you want to do is change it to be much more positive and say something like, yes, I can't control the economy, but I'm confident about myself and my ability. I'll survive anywhere, right? Or if you say that I can't travel, I'm just stuck here, you can always reframe it by saying that there's actually quite a lot of things to do in Malaysia. So change your mindset that way. Business is slow, doesn't matter. I'll focus more on my website. I'll do something about it right now because I'm resourceful, I'm confident, right? So it's about changing the way you think, changing the way you feel, changing the way that you react to your own words, right? So now I'm going to show you ways in which you can craft positive suggestions to yourself, how to frame suggestions so that your words will actually influence you much more. So right now here we have positive words. Make sure they're much more positive. Make sure they're all simple. Don't complicate things because our mind, if you think about it, it's very, very simple. The more complicated, the harder is it for you to achieve it. Make sure it's future, not past tense, and make sure it's something that you're able to visualize. Okay, so back to my example just now that I want a bungalow. It's simple enough. It's simple that I know I want a place to stay. It's positive because, of course, it's what I want, right? And it's future tense. So the opposite will be I know a lot of people will say, I don't want to stay in this tiny apartment anymore. So when you think about what you don't want, that's negative. When you think about past tense, also it's not useful. When you are saying that what I have right now is not good enough, it actually makes you angry. But now you are saying that I want a bungalow. It's positive, it's simple, it's future. I can visualize my dream house, and that's going to give me energy as well. So right now, when we are surrounded with all these negative things, I think it's good that we change our words, change our mindsets, and give ourselves the extra energy, be it in our workplace, be it in juggling work-life balance, be it in taking care of the kids. So learn how to change your sentence structures, learn how to change your own self-talk, and just move forward. I think that's gonna bring a lot of changes in your life right now. Okay, so that's it that I want to share, but I think it'll be much easier if we interact through Q&A. Give me a few examples, and then I think we can elaborate from there. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Joyce. So just really short tips, okay, for everyone. So we have a few questions. So those of you who have any questions, do remember you can type it two ways. Whether you're watching from YouTube or Facebook, you can type it there. Or if you notice, if you scroll up, there is actually a link for you to type in your questions anonymously. So do type it there, and actually we will bring it out. Okay. Now we have one of the questions. Let me show you this question here. So it said, hello, good day to you. How to differentiate between being positive or toxic positivity? Oh, okay. I try to be positive, but sometimes people said it's toxic positivity.
Mm-hmm. Actually, haven't quite heard of the word toxic positivity, but I would assume it's something like a fake positivity because a lot of people say fake it till you make it. So it can be true to a certain extent, but sometimes you don't want to be too ambitious and be a bit more realistic, right? So if let's say I am feeling angry right now, so what are prefer to do is acknowledge my anger and be a bit positive by saying that I'm angry, but I know I can manage it. I can calm down and deal with it like an adult. But if I'm extremely positive and not realistic, let's say I'm angry right now and say, I'm okay, I accept you, I'm happy, which is kind of impossible. So don't do that. That will instead make you even more angry. And that will be burying your emotions inside. That will show people that it's maybe not reality. I can't really believe you. So I would think that try not to make unrealistic expectations or try not to do the exact opposite, but rather find a way to solve things that makes it a little bit more neutral and a bit more encouraging to you. So hope that answers you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, we're going to go next to another question. This is on YouTube, Sincerely Sammy. How can you manage your stress, especially in this time of pandemic?
I would say it applies to every time as well. And most important, I would say is be creative. There are many tips online, right? But I think the most important thing you can do is be creative with what you want and to allow yourself to do what you want. For example, I would say that if you are someone that likes to take care of yourself and we feel guilty, I think this is one thing that most of us feel guilty about sitting there doing nothing. But actually, sitting there doing nothing is actually a good way for you to heal. It's not wasting time, but it's more of taking time for self-care. Another way you can do is find ways to do creative activities, because in this pandemic, in this FMCO, we're all trapped at home. But we are actually creative beings. We are actually people that needs to move and people that needs indirectly to have a sense of control over something. Right? So let's say we are going to the office. Of course, there'll be lots of creativity when we do our work. But right now we're stuck at home online. There's only so much we can do. So try to do something artistic and bring a bit more color, a bit more positive energy inside you. Before this, we would move to the office. We would probably go out for lunch. So there is a little bit of movement. But right now we're just sitting where we are and my kitchen is just there. There's not much movement. So exercise is very important, not because it's healthy, but because we are actually designed to move. And when we can't do that, naturally stress comes in, right? The third thing I think is the most important is that all of us like to be in control. When we go to the office, we are either in control of our own tasks or maybe in control over how my team works. So that gives us a sense of control. So when we come home, we are much more balanced and much more calm. But let's say right now you're at home. There's nowhere to express my sense of control anymore. So then I feel frustrated and stressed. So my advice would be to maybe find something that you're in control of. Like, for example, I like to be in control over my kitchen. So that's my place. I do all the cooking, I'm in control. So I think that my sense of control, that need is fulfilled. Or maybe you can control what movie to watch after dinner. Everyone sits together and everyone watches that movie. Or you be in control over how you communicate with your friends. So most important is recognize that you have energy inside you, the energy that you like. Before this, the energy could be used. Right now, it's not. Just want to do one more quick sentence. A lot of us have the energy to explore. I really want to go out, go for a holiday, but right now I can't. So find another creative way to explore. Be it go on those YouTube walking tours. That's a way to explore a new place. Explore, like maybe plan your next trip once the borders are open. So that gives you a bit more imagination, a bit more creativity. So yeah, just a few tips.
There are a few tips.
Yes,
I've
I'm
always
hearing
concerned. Sorry, I was on mute. If I'm being too positive or optimistic, I may be just self-feeling good in bad situation, condition, mindset. So how to actually balance a more positive, positive mindset?
Mm, I think it's like the answer that I answered previously as well. Try not to be extremely positive, but to be realistic as well. So if I'm saying that I'm trapped and I'm being optimistic by okay, next month I can go out, next month I'll go to Japan. So that's being a bit too optimistic, and it sets me up for disappointment because actually I won't be able to travel, right? So instead, I will try to change to something a bit more neutral. That by next month, I get to go to Subang for ice kacang, for example, right? So it's something a bit more realistic and a bit more balanced that way. So I would say progression is that. Um, a lot of people, when I ask them what's your goal, they would say my goal is to billionaire. So that's good. I want to be a billionaire too, but that's a bit too optimistic because I'm nowhere near that, right? So what I'm gonna say is that I'll be a bit more balanced by saying, okay, I'm gonna grow my income by 2 times by the end of this year. I think that's much more possible and much more realistic. So it's easier for me to achieve that goal, easier for me to be happy, and I can grow some more the next year. So try to be a bit more balanced in that sense.
Okay, so the keyword is realistic here, right?
Yeah.
And let me see, there's quite a few questions that's coming in. Yeah, hold on. That's
Yeah.
one question here. So, hey, just how to best console grieving kids, particularly now that we're unable to be with them in person.
Mm. One question will be how old are the kids? Because if they're old enough to understand, I think kids are actually much more understandable than we think that they are. So tell them the truth. A lot of times, I think adults we tend to make up stories or try to can't think of the English word for it, but it's kujuk lah. So try to console the kids, sorry. Try to console them by making up stories, by giving them false expectations or false promises, which isn't good. So I think the best is tell them exactly what's happening and say sorry to them. I think the best way that we can do is apologize to kids. We don't apologize. Adults, we seldom apologize, but I think as kids, that's very important. So probably you could say something like, I'm sorry, mommy couldn't be here with you because of this lockdown. I'm sorry I couldn't come and give you a hug, but trust me that I love you, that kind of thing, right? So once there is an apology, they know that you're actually not in control. It's not your situation. And they know that it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. So I think that is the best approach that we could do right now.
Okay, thank you. And I think for this person as well, another thing I probably want to add on is that do let your kids know that you love them no matter what. I think that's also important for
Yeah.
sometimes parents with me or may not say it, but just to know to tell them that you really do love them. So I think that's also one more thing that you can have as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go with this number of questions. Okay. So those of you here, just to let you know, we're trying to Joyce actually graciously asked her earlier. It has a lot of questions, whether we can still continue on to answer the questions. So we try to answer as many questions as we can in the time that she has. But those of you who may have to leave soon, I do understand. So all of you are okay. We may extend this webinar just to try to answer everybody's questions. Yeah. Okay. So I have this another question here. Ida Rashia, she said she opened a restaurant in PKP 2.0. She didn't worry much because I'm a risk taker. And my business is going well every day. Well, that's good. Okay, but sometimes I feel it's not enough and I want to do more. And she continued, and it made me so exhausted mentally, physically. Normal day, I go to work from 7 a.m. I'm back home at 10, 11. And this made me have a bad dreams. So I still feel exhausted when I actually rest. So I think that it would be like more that she feels not enough and she's very exhausted mentally and all.
Yeah.
Would there be any advice for her?
I will go back to, sorry, I heard echo there. Okay, yeah. I will actually go back to my first example that I used in my iceberg theory just now about how it could have been that as a child, the subconscious conditioning was that I really must do well, I must push, and I must be better. So even though right now, either like you would say everything is going well, somehow or other that subconscious belief is still there that I need to keep pushing myself. So if you could change your mindset to probably look at things like, I have enough, I'm okay, I'm pleasant, but right now, what I want is not money, but what I want is a balanced lifestyle. What I want is spend time with my family. So once you tell yourself what you want, then I think you'll be able to slow down. But if not, your mindset will be, I need to chase more money, I need to chase more success. Because maybe success to you in that sense would be when business does very well. But for many people, success may also mean good family and just enough work. For some, success may mean everything about my kids. So there's no right or no wrong, but most important, I think what you need to do is set definitions of what you want, what is enough for you, and then you work from there. But if you don't, I think you're going to keep pushing yourself until quite some time. But to understand your question much more, I think it really needs a bit more analysis to it, deeper, because there could be other underlying factors as well as to what is the thing that actually drives you. But I would say the best thing based on what you asked right now would be to actually define what you want first. And then you would be able to say that, okay, I've got enough. I'm grateful for what I have. Now I'm going to find much more balance in family or something to that extent.
Thanks, Joyce. I hope that answer your questions, Ida. So really to go back into what you really, really want, what drives you, and then you can make decisions from there. I've got this, there's some questions here. It's actually 3 questions from different people, I believe, but it's actually quite the same. I think you can answer them together. One question here is that, how to be more positive when the people around you, such as a family, are being toxic and constantly trying to pull you down. I've also got some questions here. For example, this is from Nelly. She said that how to maintain positivity in negative environment. Again, the people around you giving you that negativity, how to not let it affect you. And there's another person whose Adi is a best way people around, if people have negative thoughts. So I noticed that this is really much about the people around you are negative.
Yeah. The best motto I have would be, that's okay, it's you, not me, right? So you have your own brain, your own mouth, and that's fine, that belongs to you, but what you say doesn't have to affect me. If someone were to say that, I don't like your pink dress, I'll be like, thank you, but it doesn't matter to me. I'm not here to please you, right? I don't have to follow your likes and your wants, but rather I'll be myself. So if people around you, or a lot of people who would probably try to pull you down, give you a negative self-belief and things like that. But at the end of the day, I think if you know what you want and if you are confident about yourself, I think that's the key word, to be confident about your thoughts, your wants, your needs, your beliefs as well. If you're confident about your belief, what other people say would just be words of advice, but I don't need to take them, right? I wanted to do this business, for example, but no one else believes in me. That's fine, because if they believe in me, everyone's going to do the same business as I, and I won't succeed. So it doesn't matter. I believe in what I do, so I'm just going to do it. So that's why I think, yeah, family is important, but at times we need to learn how to ignore. We need to be confident about ourselves, and we need to just accept it graciously. Don't fight back. I think that's worse. It makes them even more angry and even more negative. So accept it. Thank you. I'll think about what you just said, but after that, just brush it off because I believe in myself. So confidence is the key word there.
Okay, thank you. And also, I think some things as well. I think being in an Asian context, we're very much a family, and we always think about, we always follow our parents. Yeah, we always think our parents right and that. And I think that would also be quite difficult for all of us to, pull back and think about our own, because if not, our parents will like those days lah. Now we don't do that to our kids, but those days now parents will, one time to us, tak dengar bagi satu. Right. So so there's a little tips for some of you here. I hope that actually helps you. Now let's go on to some other tips here. Let's see. This is also a bit about family, but it's a bit. How do I stop blaming my spouse for the mistakes he's done?
I think it can be a little bit similar to what I just said previously, right? That's fine, that's you, that's not me. And especially when it comes to spouses, we both come from different backgrounds. And you will have your own upbringing, your own beliefs, and I have mine. So as long as what you are doing doesn't change me or doesn't really affect my life, that's fine, right? So I know the answer is much deeper, but let me use the example of food, right? So let's say I like Chinese food and my spouse likes Western food. I'm not going to be angry if every time he tapaos Western food for me, because that's just him. But I'm just going to say that it's okay, that's what you like. I already told you what I like, but if you're not going to tapao Chinese food for me, I can do it myself. So there are times that if we can't change that situation, I mean, it's not good to change your spouse's behavior. But what I mean is, if you already tried it, it's not working, there's no point continuing to blame, but rather change your approach to it. That's fine, we'll just tap out different things separately, right? So when it comes to using this example of food, right? If you were to look at things a bit more serious, like childcare, for example, I'm gonna blame my spouse for being very strict with my children, when in fact I'm the one that's a bit more lenient. I think it's fine to have the best of both worlds, right? As long as you debrief the child and you let them learn the best from traditional parenting as compared to the modern one. So change the way you approach it, rather find solutions. I think as adults, that is the best thing that we have, our analytical mind. So that's where we discuss and find ways to compromise. If we can do it in the workplace to find solutions and to compromise, I think we can always do it at home as well. So talk it out, try to find solutions or change approaches, then there'll be much more peace in the house.
Okay, thank you. And I think for this person as well, said just thinking about the blaming, I think goes back to what Joyce actually mentioned. Think of the positive things he has done, all the things that he has done well. And I think that would actually help as well. So I wanted to say that we'll try to answer some more questions here. I'm sorry for some of you who may have to go, but for those of you who would have to go, just to let you know, I will put in the comments here. In the comment box, you can come in later. You can follow Joyce where the link is, so you can have more updates from her. So I'll quickly continue on with the rest of the questions. For example, here, yeah. How do you suggest to tweak a judgmental mindset to a more neutral and positive?
I think it's about accepting. Once you start accepting people for their differences, then you won't be that judgmental. If we are too, what's the word for it? If we are too fixed in our mindset and we only accept one thing, then we will definitely not accept other things around us. So once you are much more forgiving to the rest, once you start accepting much more, you'll be able to find a way to compromise. So I think acceptance is the key word here to your answer. So learn to be more accepting of things around you, learn to be more grateful about things around you, recognize differences in people, differences in mindsets as well. If that's what you think, that's okay. I will find another way around it, right? So once you do that, you'll be a problem solver rather than one that dwells on this judgmental thought.
Okay, so keyword to be more problem solver. Okay, the problem solver mindset. Okay, one more question. We've got a few more questions actually. This is by Nora. Is Ida? Sorry, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Hi. Sometimes we will find a kind of not really excited to go to work, maybe due to repetitive routine, even though there is always something new introduced at workplace. How to change this feeling? Thank you.
I would say find your hunger point. Hunger point meaning what is the thing that drives you. If you are just going to work just to earn money, then after a while you will get bored, right? But if you're going to work to improve your skills, then every time you go, there's something new that makes you excited to grow. If your hunger point is, let's say, to buy a bungalow like mine, right? Let's say it's to buy a bungalow. I know to buy a bungalow, I need to work hard to get promoted. If I get promoted, I must be doing well in my job. Then I must be doing new projects and things like that. So if I see that hunger point, it's easier for me to get excited about going to work to push myself. But if my hunger point is not there, I'm just going with the flow and doing what I need to do to pay the bills, then yes, you will get demotivated sometimes. So I think it's a very good question because humans, we tend to get lazy after a while. Or we tend to get demotivated after a while. Or maybe we finish a project and we are like, okay, that's enough, right? So I think one thing we need to do is keep on finding hunger points. Keep on finding things that will push us to improve ourselves because that's the good thing about us humans, we're always growing. So find your hunger point.
Okay, find the hunger point. So that's the key. So we've got another few more questions, three more questions. Very quickly, how can I stop blaming myself if my team's performance is not expected? To understand the struggle during pandemic, but hardly to control management's expectations.
Sorry, let me read that again. How do I
How
stop
do
blaming myself?
myself if my team's performance not expected to this person understand the struggles during pandemic, but it's hard to control management's expectations.
Sometimes I think this will go back to acceptance, like I said just now as well. Once you start accepting that, yes, we are in a different situation right now. I can't expect things to be back like normal. I can't expect performance to be like normal because things are different. We're not even meeting, we are online right now. So definitely people need time to adjust. They may not be able to do so well in this project because they're used to face-to-face. But I'm sure they're doing well in some other ways. So that's where being a bit more accepting, being a bit more creative to maybe change the way you look at things. Maybe I can't measure it in this way. Maybe I can measure it in a different way as well. So I think resilience, we all need to be resilient in times of pandemic.
Okay. To add on as well in terms of from the leadership point of view and the performance, because bosses can be bosses as well. So to just answer this person's questions, right, when the team performance is not as expected, maybe you need to relook first thing into the KPI and into the boss's expectations. What do they want? What is the end goal actually you want, right? Number one. Number two as well, to see is there anything else you can do to increase productivity right now on your processes. Look into things you can automate, right, to make your process more efficient, all right? Or like Joyce also mentioned, creativity. So you can actually do that. So to stop blaming yourself, I think that don't really blame yourself. I mean, put it to the other way to be positive is what can I do to raise my team's performance? There's a lot of things on Google and YouTube, you know, it's not your fault. Like Joyce said, now it's just how do you be able to get better? Sometimes in pandemic, and when you can turn it into positive, I can tell you that things will sometimes your performance will be above expectations. Yeah. So to this person, I hope that you will find that.
I think Chantal, you caught the meaning very well to reframe, right? So reframe the word blame to how can I improve? So yeah,
Yes.
that's
Yes.
a perfect example. Good job.
Oh, thank you. All right, everybody else also, I'm sure you're a good student there. Huh? Okay, the next question is that when I feel angry and I tend to put a smile on my face, but inside feels so tense, then you keep fake it like this for all. So basically, is that if you're angry, you put a smile. Will it affect our mental health? It comes like a bomb. So I think it kind of looks like what's that person named Joker, right? Smiling, but mental health like
Yeah,
bomb.
yeah,
So will this affect the mental health?
I think by smiling, right, by putting on a smile as well, it sends a physiological response to your brain that you are actually positive. So in a way that actually helps a little bit as well. But like just now I said, the key word here is to be realistic. Because if you are 100% angry, don't do something that's the total opposite. So rather than smiling, maybe you could like maybe step outside, take a deep breath or something like that. So yes, it will affect your mind if you are lying to yourself all the time because you are saying that I'm okay, when deep down inside you are not okay. So find something neutral by saying that I can manage it instead. So your smile instead of a I'm okay smile, it'll be that I can manage to smile. So find something that actually balance it out rather than going to the extreme both ends, right? So yeah, I think that might answer your question, right?
And maybe just probably to ask as well, like for this person when they're angry, should they actually go kind of like go deeper to investigate themselves? Like why do they like feel angry? Is it angry at everything or is it angry from something? Should they, would you suggest them to actually do that?
Mm. Um yeah, because normally I will actually work on emotions, the root cause of it, right? So what is the anger about? Normally anger is a secondary emotion. It's normally a reaction to something else. So what are you reacting to? Is it that someone doesn't understand you? Is it someone puts you down? Is it your own self-esteem as well? So it's good to understand where the anger comes from, and then you will be able to tell yourself that I can manage it. I'm in control. Right?
Okay, so hopefully for this person. And the last question, I do notice some people are leaving. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah, I'll just probably take a question. One more question because we try to help as many people as possible. So this last question here, what if I'm easily influenced by others? I think this question that came up from us trying to say that there's toxic people around. So you're saying to build confidence. So how and this person said that I think so that it said that someone is easily influenced by others.
I would say be yourself. Be confident about yourself. Because once you are confident, you can't be sweet. Once, if you are someone that doesn't really know who you are, then wherever you go, you'll be molded into that environment as well. So say that I am let's say can't think of it. Let's say I'm a giraffe, right? If I'm a giraffe and I am in a shopping mall, that's fine. I'm a giraffe in a shopping mall. I don't need to blend in. I don't need to cut my lips short so I look like other people, right? So that's me just being a bit more accepting of the surrounding easily influenced. So be confident of myself as a giraffe and I will stand out tall wherever I go. So whether I'm in the zoo, I'm going to stand out. Whether I'm with humans in a shopping mall, I'm going to stand up. So I would say be confident about yourself. Just add on a little bit more. Uh, Very common. I see this in a lot of my clients because when they were kids, they are not confident about themselves yet. They're always adapting and trying to find themselves. So that's why they're easily influenced and they will just take in words from other people. But I think most of us here watching the talk, we are all adults, right? So you already found yourself. So be confident about that, and you wouldn't need to be kicked around, you wouldn't need to be influenced, and you can be uniquely you.
Okay, thank you. So here it is. We're actually at the end of our webinar, and we've extended it. And so sorry to some of you. So just to recap as well, I noticed that is be uniquely you. So we've got things about what Joyce actually mentioned. It's about think positively, to reframe your mind. So those are the things that you can look at. Now, for those of you as well, there's actually I put in the links already. This site, okay, the links. You can follow People Hive. We have our Save Our 70 webinar. So we're looking for topics and things like that. Every once a month, we'll come up with something, right? So you can actually follow us on social medias for any more events or actually updates. And also, we're also looking for topics that you would like to learn. And we try to find experts like Joyce, who will come for free. So there is also a link there if you like any topics that you like to hear about. We will try to source out speakers for you if we notice there's a lot of people asking for that. So there's a link inside the comments. So click on that. And if you want to have anything that you like to learn, we try to source for you. And also, if you would like to have a lot of articles from Joyce or tips from Joyce, I put in Joyce's Facebook. You can actually follow her there for any useful articles or things like that from Joyce as well. Right. So that's all for now. So thank you, Joyce, once again for speaking on this platform.
Thank you.
And thank you, everybody. Thank you to the viewers and everyone. Please do stay safe wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you the next time. Take care. Bye bye.